Life is full of relationships, some uplifting, others draining. As we age, we gain the wisdom to recognize who genuinely supports our well-being and who subtly diminishes our peace. The journey of self-discovery teaches us that not everyone deserves a place in our inner circle. Some individuals, whether intentionally or not, bring negativity, manipulation, or emotional exhaustion into our lives. And while it may feel difficult to step away, true wisdom lies in understanding that distance is sometimes the best form of self-care. In today's video, we will explore 5 types of people that wise women choose to distance themselves from, not with anger or confrontation, but with quiet clarity and inner peace. This is not about resentment or cutting ties recklessly. Rather, it's about preserving your mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Through real-life examples, expert insights, and practical advice, we'll uncover why walking away from certain individuals is an act of self-respect and personal growth. If you've ever left a conversation feeling drained, uneasy, or doubting yourself, but couldn't quite explain why, this video is for you. Stay with us as we reveal the subtle but crucial red flags that signal when it's time to move on, gracefully, confidently, and without guilt. Number 1, the underminer, the master of backhanded compliments. Imagine this. You excitedly tell a close friend about a new job opportunity. Instead of celebrating with you, they say, "Wow, that's amazing! I don't know how you handle that kind of pressure. I could never do it." At first glance, it seems supportive, but something about it leaves you unsettled. This is a classic example of passive undermining. These individuals pretend to be supportive while subtly planting seeds of doubt. Psychologists call this covert negativity. Over time, these small jabs accumulate, affecting confidence and emotional well-being. Dr. Shelley Taylor's research on stress and relationships reveals that subtle negativity from close connections can be more damaging than outright hostility. The brain perceives these micro hits of criticism as stressors, causing spikes in cortisol, the stress hormone. Unlike overt criticism, which can be directly addressed, backhanded compliments and disguised negativity often leave the recipient questioning their own perceptions. This creates a cycle of self-doubt, where the victim begins to internalize the negativity, wondering if they are truly competent or if their success is just a stroke of luck. Over time, this can erode self-esteem, making individuals more susceptible to external validation and less confident in their own decision-making abilities. Backhanded compliments often follow a predictable pattern. Here are a few examples. "That's impressive. I just hope it's worth all the stress," implies that the decision is unnecessarily burdensome rather than exciting. "You look amazing today. I barely recognized you," hints that the person usually does not look good. "Wow, you got promoted? I guess hard work really does pay off sometimes," suggests that the success is rare or surprising. "I could never pull that off, but it suits your style," implies that the choice is unusual or questionable. "You're so brave to take on that challenge, I wouldn't risk it," plays on fear and doubt rather than encouragement. These phrases often appear well-intentioned but leave an underlying sense of insecurity. Rather than falling into the trap of self-doubt, wise individuals recognize the pattern and develop strategies to protect their confidence. 1. They observe patterns over time. Instead of reacting to every backhanded comment, they step back and look at the bigger picture. If someone consistently makes comments that leave them feeling unsure or discouraged, they take note. Keeping a journal of interactions can help identify whether this is a one-time misunderstanding or a repeated behavior. Once a pattern is identified, it becomes easier to set emotional boundaries. 2. They reduce emotional dependence. Not everyone deserves access to personal aspirations and vulnerabilities. Wise women learn to share their ambitions only with those who genuinely support them. If someone repeatedly undermines their confidence, they limit how much they share with that person. They also avoid seeking validation from these individuals. Instead, they turn to mentors, friends, or colleagues who uplift and inspire them. 3. They confront with grace when necessary. While some underminers are unaware of their behavior, others do it intentionally. If addressing the issue is necessary, a wise approach is to use I statements rather than accusations. For example, "I notice that when I share my successes, I sometimes leave the conversation feeling unsure. Was that your intention?" When you say things like that, it makes me question my decisions. I want to surround myself with encouragement. This allows the other person to reflect on their words without feeling immediately defensive. 4. They cultivate a positive support system. Rather than dwelling on negativity, they actively build a network of individuals who celebrate their wins without hidden agendas. This includes mentors who provide guidance without discouragement, friends who celebrate achievements with genuine happiness, colleagues who encourage professional growth without competition. By surrounding themselves with positive influences, they create an environment where confidence can thrive. One of the most damaging effects of covert negativity is self-doubt. Overcoming this requires self-awareness, recognizing that not all feedback is constructive, self-validation, trusting personal experiences and instincts over external opinions, resilience, reframing negative comments as reflections of the other person's mindset, not one's own limitations. By practicing these strategies, individuals can break free from the subtle cycle of undermining and embrace their full potential. The words we hear and internalize shape our confidence, decision-making, and overall well-being. While underminers may seem harmless on the surface, their words have the power to create lasting self-doubt. By recognizing these behaviors, setting boundaries, and fostering a strong support system, we take control of our confidence and ensure that our success is not clouded by subtle negativity. The next time someone gives a backhanded compliment, pause and ask yourself, is this person truly celebrating me? If the answer is no, it may be time to adjust how much influence they have over your thoughts and emotions. Encourage yourself, surround yourself with those who do the same, because true success is built on genuine confidence, not hidden doubt. Number 2, the chronic taker, the one who drains without giving back. Have you ever had a friend, family member, or colleague who always seems to need something? Advice, emotional support, a ride, financial help. But when you need even the smallest favour, they are conveniently unavailable. At first, being the reliable one can feel fulfilling. You take pride in your ability to support others, but over time you begin to notice the imbalance. You're always showing up for them, but when you reach out, they are too busy, distracted, or indifferent. The chronic taker doesn't always appear selfish at first. They might be charming, endearing, or even seem vulnerable, which makes you more inclined to help them. However, their pattern of behaviour tells a different story. They expect others to cater to their needs, but rarely, if ever, reciprocate. Over time, this one-sided dynamic can drain your emotional energy and leave you feeling used, resentful, and even questioning your self-worth. Being caught in a relationship with a chronic taker can take a serious toll on your mental and emotional well-being. You might start feeling unappreciated, exhausted, or even manipulated. If you find yourself constantly giving without receiving, it's important to recognize the psychological effects this dynamic can have. 1. Emotional exhaustion. The constant emotional labor of supporting someone without reciprocation can lead to burnout. You may feel drained after interactions with them, noticing that they take more energy than they give. 2. Compassion fatigue. According to Dr. Ali Hochschild's research on emotional labor, women in particular are often expected to bear the emotional burdens of others. Over time, this can lead to compassion fatigue, where you feel emotionally depleted from constantly taking on other people's problems. 3. Feelings of resentment. Initially, you may justify their behavior. You tell yourself they're going through a tough time or that they just need a little extra support. But as time goes on, resentment starts to build. You realize that your kindness is being taken for granted and you begin to feel undervalued. 4. A decrease in self-worth. Being in a one-sided relationship for too long can cause you to question your own worth. Why do you always give so much without receiving in return? Are you not worthy of the same care you extend to others? The chronic taker may subtly reinforce this dynamic by making you feel guilty for setting boundaries or prioritizing your needs. Recognizing the signs early can help you protect your emotional well-being. Here are some red flags that indicate you may be dealing with a chronic taker. You feel obligated to be there for them, but they are never there for you. Whether it's responding to their late-night calls or helping them through an emotional crisis, you're always available. But when you need a listening ear, they vanish. You feel drained rather than uplifted after interacting with them. A healthy relationship should feel balanced. If you consistently leave conversations feeling exhausted rather than energized, it's a sign that the relationship is one-sided. They always have an emergency, and you're their first call. Every time they contact you, there's an urgent issue that requires your immediate attention. Yet when you need assistance, they offer excuses rather than support. They expect you to understand their struggles, but they don't acknowledge yours. Chronic takers often dominate conversations with their problems, rarely asking how you're doing. When you do share your struggles, they may minimize them or quickly redirect the focus back to themselves. Wisdom comes from experience, and experienced women know how to recognize and handle one-sided relationships before they take too much of a toll. Here's how they maintain their emotional well-being. 1. They stop prioritizing relationships that leave them depleted. Once they recognize the imbalance, they stop investing so much energy in these relationships. This doesn't mean they become unkind, but they consciously decide not to prioritize people who don't contribute to their well-being. 2. They set firm boundaries without guilt. One of the hardest but most necessary steps is setting boundaries. Chronic takers often test limits, pushing for more of your time and energy. Wise women learn to say no without feeling guilty. They understand that their well-being matters too. 3. They seek reciprocal relationships. Healthy relationships involve mutual care and support. Wise women invest in friendships and connections where both parties give and receive. They understand that a truly supportive relationship doesn't leave them feeling drained. 4. They distance themselves when necessary. Sometimes the best way to handle a chronic taker is to step back. This doesn't always mean cutting them off completely, but it does mean reducing the amount of energy and attention given to them. Being generous and kind is a beautiful trait, but it should never come at the expense of your own well-being. If you find yourself constantly giving to someone who never gives back, it's time to reassess the relationship. It's okay to say no. It's okay to set boundaries. And most importantly, it's okay to prioritize relationships that bring you as much joy and support as you offer to others. Recognizing a chronic taker early can save you from emotional exhaustion and allow you to cultivate the fulfilling, reciprocal relationships you truly deserve. Number 3, the trust breaker, the one who uses your vulnerability against you. Trust is one of the most fundamental aspects of any relationship, whether it be personal, professional, or social. It is the glue that holds connections together, allowing people to feel safe, understood, and valued. Yet trust is fragile. It takes time to build, but can be broken in an instant. A trust breaker isn't always a villain in the traditional sense. Sometimes they operate subtly, slipping your secrets into conversations where they don't belong, or making casual, cutting remarks that expose your vulnerabilities. What makes trust breakers particularly harmful is that they exploit the very openness and honesty you offer them. When someone takes advantage of your vulnerability, the emotional wounds can run deep, leaving you hesitant to open up again. Dr. John Gottman, a renowned psychologist and relationship expert, describes trust as something that is built over time through sliding door moments. These are the seemingly insignificant everyday interactions where a person chooses to either show care and understanding or dismiss and disregard the other person's feelings. When someone consistently makes choices that prioritize your well-being, trust grows. Conversely, when they fail to honor your emotions and privacy, trust erodes. Gottman's research emphasizes that trust is not a grand gesture, but an accumulation of small actions. This means that a single act of betrayal doesn't happen in isolation. It's often a culmination of little breaches that have been ignored or dismissed over time. Recognizing a trust breaker early on can save you from emotional harm. Here are some red flags to watch for. 1. They share your private matters with others. One of the most common ways trust is broken is when someone reveals your personal information to others without your consent. This could be anything from your fears, past experiences, financial struggles, or family issues. Whether done maliciously or carelessly, this act of betrayal shows a lack of respect for your privacy. 2, they make light of your struggles instead of supporting you. Instead of offering empathy and understanding, a trust breaker might downplay your difficulties, dismiss your emotions, or even joke about them in inappropriate settings. This minimizes your feelings and makes you feel invalidated rather than supported. 3, you start holding back because you don't feel emotionally safe around them. Trust is closely linked to emotional safety. When you start second-guessing what you share or feel the need to censor yourself around someone, it's a clear sign that they have done something to shake your confidence in them. Over time, this can lead to a sense of isolation and self-doubt. 4, they use your weaknesses against you in arguments. A major betrayal of trust occurs when someone weaponizes your past, your insecurities, or your fears against you in moments of conflict. Instead of addressing the issue at hand, they may use what they know about your vulnerabilities to manipulate or hurt you. 5, they are inconsistent in their actions. Trust is built through reliability. If someone says one thing but does another, frequently breaks promises, or only acts loyal when it benefits them, they are not trustworthy. A person who fluctuates between being supportive and being dismissive can create emotional confusion and stress. When faced with a trust breaker, wise women understand that the best response is not revenge or confrontation, but self-preservation and boundary setting. Here's how they handle such situations. 1, they recognize that trust isn't about perfection, but consistency. Everyone makes mistakes, but a trustworthy person acknowledges their missteps and takes corrective action. Wise women differentiate between an occasional lapse in judgment and a pattern of behavior that repeatedly harms them. 2, instead of seeking confrontation, they withdraw from those who make them feel unsafe. Wise women understand that people who betray trust are unlikely to change unless they acknowledge their behavior and take responsibility. Rather than wasting energy trying to force change, they choose to step away, protecting their emotional well-being. 3, they surround themselves with people who guard their stories as their own. A wise woman knows the value of true friendship and carefully chooses her inner circle. She builds connections with those who respect her privacy, offer genuine support, and prove their loyalty through actions, not just words. 4, they set clear boundaries and enforce them. Once someone has broken their trust, wise women establish firm boundaries. This might mean sharing less personal information, keeping interactions at a surface level, or in some cases, cutting ties entirely. 5, they trust their intuition. A wise woman listens to her gut feelings. If someone's behavior feels off, or if she feels uneasy around them, she pays attention. Trust is an energy exchange, and if something feels wrong, it often is. When someone breaks your trust, it can feel like a deep personal wound. However, it's important to remember that another person's betrayal is a reflection of their character, not yours. Healing from a trust betrayal involves self-reflection, boundary setting, and surrounding yourself with trustworthy individuals. Here are a few steps to help you rebuild your sense of trust in yourself and others. Acknowledge the pain. It's okay to feel hurt. Suppressing your emotions will only prolong the healing process. Reevaluate your boundaries. Adjust what you share and with whom. Being cautious does not mean being closed off. It means being selective. Learn from the experience. Instead of dwelling on the betrayal, view it as a lesson in discernment. Seek out trustworthy people. Build connections with those who demonstrate reliability, empathy, and confidentiality. Forgive. But don't forget, forgiveness is about freeing yourself from bitterness, but it doesn't mean giving someone another chance to hurt you. Trust is a precious commodity. Treat it as such. By identifying trust breakers early and handling them with wisdom and strength, you can safeguard your emotional well-being and cultivate deeper, more meaningful connections with those who truly deserve a place in your life. Number 4, the drama magnet, the one who thrives on chaos. Some people seem to attract chaos like a moth to a flame. Their lives are a whirlwind of conflicts, crises, and catastrophes. If it's not a dramatic breakup, it's a workplace feud. If it's not a family dispute, it's a sudden personal crisis. These individuals live for emotional upheaval, and if you're in their orbit, you'll inevitably be drawn into their storm. At first, being their confidant can feel rewarding. You may feel needed, even important, as they turn to you for advice, sympathy, or support. But over time, you begin to realize that their chaos is not temporary. It's a lifestyle. Their emergencies become your stress. Their battles drain your emotional reserves. And no matter how much you offer, their thirst for drama is never quenched. The moment one crisis is resolved, another arises. Being around someone who constantly stirs up drama isn't just frustrating, it's emotionally and physically exhausting. Neuroscientific studies show that chronic exposure to high-stress individuals can negatively affect our nervous system. Our brain is wired to respond to stress, but when that stress becomes constant, it takes a toll on our mental and physical health. Increased anxiety. Being around a drama magnet often means being in a heightened state of vigilance. Their unpredictability keeps you on edge, leading to chronic anxiety and emotional fatigue. Emotional exhaustion. Constantly offering support, advice, or reassurance to someone who thrives on drama can leave you drained and depleted. Reduced mental clarity. When you're entangled in someone else's crises, your own thoughts and emotions become clouded. It becomes harder to focus on your own goals and priorities. Toxic energy transfer. Emotions are contagious. Spending too much time with a drama magnet can lead you to absorb their negativity, making you feel frustrated, irritable, or even depressed. Strained relationships. The time and energy you invest in managing someone else's chaos can take a toll on your personal relationships. Your patience wears thin, and you may find yourself withdrawing from healthier connections. Emotionally intelligent and self-aware individuals recognize the importance of setting boundaries with people who thrive on chaos. Instead of getting sucked into the never-ending vortex of drama, they adopt strategies to protect their peace. 1. They stop mistaking someone else's crisis for their responsibility. Wise women understand that they are not responsible for fixing another person's endless problems. They offer empathy, but do not take ownership of someone else's emotional turbulence. If a friend, colleague, or family member continuously finds themselves in turmoil, it is a reflection of their choices, not yours. 2. They refuse to be emotional dumping grounds. A drama magnet often looks for a willing listener to unload their grievances. While supporting loved ones is important, it should not come at the cost of your well-being. Wise women recognize when a conversation becomes one-sided and emotionally draining. They set limits on how much they listen to or engage with someone who only calls when they need to vent. 3. They set clear boundaries on their time and energy. Just because someone is in a constant state of crisis doesn't mean you have to be available 24/7. Wise women establish boundaries around when and how they engage with a drama magnet. This may include not answering late-night crisis calls, limiting their time spent on drama-filled conversations, or even distancing themselves entirely if the relationship becomes too toxic. 4. They redirect the conversation to solutions. Instead of fueling the drama by engaging in endless discussions about problems, wise individuals steer conversations towards solutions. If a drama magnet constantly complains but never takes action, it becomes clear that they are not looking for resolutions. They just enjoy the chaos. A simple question like, "What do you plan to do about this?" can reveal whether someone is genuinely seeking help or just venting for attention. 5. They prioritize relationships that bring peace and growth. Life is too short to be consumed by unnecessary drama. Wise women choose to invest their energy in relationships that uplift, inspire, and bring peace. They recognize the difference between supporting a friend in need and being used as an emotional crutch by someone who refuses to change. Drama magnets will always exist. Some people are drawn to chaos because it gives them a sense of purpose, identity, or validation. They thrive on the attention that crises bring. But just because someone else thrives on drama doesn't mean you have to participate. Protecting your peace isn't selfish, it's essential. Life is challenging enough without taking on unnecessary stress from others. Surround yourself with people who bring positivity, stability, and growth into your life. Learn to recognize drama magnets for what they are, set firm boundaries, and choose relationships that nurture rather than drain you. In the end, your mental and emotional well-being are worth more than the temporary satisfaction of being someone's crisis manager. Choose peace over drama. Every time. Number 5, the subtle competitor. The friend who can't celebrate your wins. Friendship is meant to be a source of support, encouragement, and joy. We turn to our friends in times of struggle, and we celebrate together when things go well. However, not all friendships are built on mutual happiness for one another. Sometimes competition masquerades as companionship. You might have a friend who seems supportive on the surface, but beneath that, there is an undertone of discomfort when you achieve something great. Their congratulations feel insincere, their smiles a little too forced. When you encounter difficulties, they appear just a bit too comfortable. This is the dynamic of a subtle competitor, a friend who struggles to celebrate your wins. Why this happens? It can be perplexing to have a friend who is there for you, but also seems to be keeping score. Understanding why this happens requires looking at deeper psychological and emotional factors. Dr. Kristin Neff, a leading researcher on self-compassion, suggests that individuals who lack a strong sense of self-worth often find it difficult to celebrate the success of others. When someone is insecure or has an unstable self-image, another person's success can feel like a direct threat. Instead of seeing a friend's achievement as something to be happy about, they view it through the lens of comparison, as though another's win somehow diminishes their own worth. Society, too, fosters this mindset. Many people grow up in environments where competition is emphasized over collaboration. From academic achievements in school to career advancements in the workplace, we are conditioned to compare ourselves to others. For those who have not developed a strong internal sense of security, the success of others can trigger feelings of inadequacy rather than inspiration. Identifying a subtle competitor in your life is essential for maintaining emotional well-being. While they may not be outright antagonistic, their behavior can drain you over time. Here are some telltale signs. 1. They constantly compare their achievements to yours. A subtle competitor often measures their success against yours. If you get a promotion, they may immediately bring up their own career progress. If you buy a house, they might mention how their home is bigger or in a better location. Rather than celebrating you, they turn the conversation toward themselves. 2. They downplay your success. When you achieve something significant, they may make dismissive comments such as, "Oh, that's nice, but anyone could do that," or, "Well, you got lucky." They might also highlight the negatives, saying things like, "That must have been stressful," instead of congratulating you. 3. You feel the need to shrink yourself around them. Have you ever hesitated to share your good news because you worried about how they'd react? A healthy friendship allows you to be fully yourself, including sharing your successes. If you find yourself holding back or downplaying your achievements to avoid making them uncomfortable, that's a red flag. 4. They seem more interested in your failures than your wins. When things go wrong in your life, they are there with an eager ear, perhaps even enjoying the moment a little too much. Their concern might seem genuine, but there's an underlying satisfaction in seeing you struggle. 5. They rarely celebrate you publicly. Genuine friends love to lift each other up. If your friend consistently avoids acknowledging your successes, whether in person or on social media, it could be a sign that they don't want to recognize your achievements because it makes them feel lesser. Recognizing a subtle competitor in your life is the first step. The next is deciding how to respond. Wise women know that true friendship is about mutual encouragement, not silent competition. Here's how they handle it. 1. They recognize that true friendship is expansive, not competitive. Healthy friendships are based on abundance. There is enough success, joy, and achievement to go around. Wise women understand that another person's success does not diminish their own. If a friendship feels like a battleground rather than a safe haven, they take note. 2. They stop sharing their successes with those who make them feel small. If someone consistently reacts negatively to good news, a wise woman gradually stops sharing important milestones with them. Instead, she reserves these moments for those who will genuinely celebrate her growth and happiness. 3. They set boundaries. Sometimes a subtle competitor does not realize their behavior is harmful. A direct yet compassionate conversation can help set boundaries. Saying something like, "I've noticed that when I share my good news, you seem uncomfortable. Is there something going on?" can open the door for honest dialogue. 4, they seek relationships where everyone thrives together. Instead of investing time in competitive friendships, wise women surround themselves with people who genuinely want the best for them. They cultivate friendships built on mutual encouragement and growth. Friendships should be a space where both people can thrive without competition. A subtle competitor might not be malicious, but their behavior can be toxic to your growth and self-confidence. Recognizing the signs and making conscious choices about who you share your journey with can lead to more fulfilling, empowering relationships. Ultimately, the best friendships are those where success is celebrated, not compared. Wise women understand that the company they keep shapes their lives, and they choose to be surrounded by those who truly want the best for them. Cutting people off isn't about cruelty, it's about clarity. Wise women understand that protecting their peace is an act of self-respect, not selfishness. When you remove toxic relationships from your life, you make space for genuine connections, personal growth, and emotional well-being. The people closest to you should uplift, not drain, support, not undermine, celebrate, not compete. Every relationship in your life should bring value, joy, or meaningful lessons, not constant stress and self-doubt. Setting boundaries isn't about pushing people away, it's about choosing who truly deserves access to your time, energy, and heart. It's a declaration that your well-being matters. When someone consistently brings negativity, manipulation, or emotional exhaustion into your life, letting go isn't an act of bitterness, it's an act of wisdom. You deserve to be surrounded by those who encourage your growth and inspire your best self. As you navigate your relationships, ask yourself, do I feel stronger or smaller around this person? Do they respect my boundaries or do they test them? Protecting your peace is a lifelong commitment, and you have the power to choose who belongs in your circle. If this video resonated with you, comment below with your thoughts, and subscribe to Golden Years Balance for more wisdom on health, wellness, and personal growth. Your peace is worth protecting.